Pong, Asteroids, Centipede. These are the games of our forefathers. Those simple, basic 8-bit arcade games that collected our quarters and which we sunk endless hours into. They paved the way for many other games to come after, and to think that the gaming industry had such a humble beginning. Hello and welcome to another edition of TJ Video Game Reviews. I'm your host TJ, and today we're taking a blast from the past with Atari Anniversary Edition Redux. Atari Anniversary Edition Redux was defended by Digital Eclipse and published by Infogrames. It was released to the Sony PlayStation console in North America on June 21st, 2001, hitting it late into the PlayStation lifespan. It features several classic Atari arcade games and interviews from Atari's founder. Without further ado, we're taking you back to the past to play those games that kick ass. First up is Asteroids. It's a fairly simple game. You play as a small triangle which is meant to be your ship, firing off dots with its ammo as giant rocks making them smaller, with the occasional UFO coming to take you down. The game is in black and white and came out in the late 70s. Then we have Asteroids Deluxe, which came out in the early 80s. Basically the same game as Asteroids, only with more colors and new background art to create the illusion of playing a ship in space. The basic point is to gather as much points as you can before you die. After that is Battlezone, which is basically a green and black tank game where you fire at enemy tanks. But it only takes one hit for them to take you out. You move to the left and right of the screen looking for enemy tanks and then fire at them once you find them, before they can fire at you. Black Widow is another fun game where you play as a spider firing at enemies on them points around a spider web, where each button on the controller moves you in a new direction so you can fire at the enemies depending on where they're coming from. Centipede is a classic arcade game where you try to eliminate a centipede that's going down the screen from the top. The idea is to hit it in the head, because if you hit it anywhere else on the body, it will split into two and become even more dangerous. You have to eliminate every part of the centipede before it gets to your part of the screen or it's game over. Gravitar is one of the hardest games on the list, I find. You're released from the space bubble, and then you have to avoid obstacles, waste your shields, and will serve fuel, because once fuel runs out, it's game over. I haven't been able to get too far into this game or earn many points in it. Missile Command is where you fire missiles at enemy missiles that are falling from the sky at a slow pace. Should the enemy missiles take out all your missile outposts, they'll fall faster through the air to take out the rest of your base in town. Pong is the most basic of Atari arcade games, in black and white with two small paddles that go up and down and a ball that goes left and right. The idea is to score as many points as you need to win the game. And I have never been able to win a single game of Pong. Oh my goodness, I'm close to winning! Yes! 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 I finally won a game of Pong! I mean, good game. Then you have Space Duel, which is basically an asteroid clone. You play as a small ship, fire on objects and make them smaller. From there is Super Breakout, which is kind of like Pong in a sense. You have a paddle and you bounce the ball back between the paddle and the walls in front of you to break them until nothing's left. Then there's Tempest, which is performed from a 3D perspective, which would have been revolutionary at the time these games came out. You fire on objects coming up from the bottom and then run down the maps to the map that appears on screen, but beware of spikes. Finally, you have Warlords. There are 4 bases and you bounce the ball around trying to avoid your base from being taken out. There are plenty of extras in the game, the most notable being the interviews by Atari founder Nolan Bushnell, which can be very informative and interesting if you're curious about how Atari formed and what came after. Now, since these games came out in the late 70s to early 80s before the video game crash of '83 and long before Nintendo came to be, there's really no story for any of these games. You had to invent your own story and use your imagination to envision the various objects and enemies and what they were really like. Graphics are decent even though they're fairly simple. The beginning basis of 8-bit, while not much to look at, it is amazing to see how far video games have come as a medium from the late 70s and early 80s, before the age of Mario or Sonic. One of the main flaws of the game is that it's really hard to control. A lot of these arcade games had a very specific control scheme that made up part of the gaming experience, and emulating them with a PlayStation controller in the PS1 console is very difficult and almost takes away from the gaming experience. Overall, Atari Anniversary Edition Redux is the perfect collection of classic Atari games for that old school gamer who wants to relive their past, or for new gamers who wants to see where games came from. It's amazing to think just how far the gaming industry has come and to think it used to be so simple with games like Pong and Asteroids. These games hold a special place in a lot of gamers' heart and will always be considered true classics. Get it. That's it. This isn't TJ Reviews. This is TJ signing off.